All right, are we really on?
You are really on.
Excellent. Good morning, Millis. It is Saturday, February 8th, and as chair, I am delighted to welcome the community to the annual ritual of fiscal year budget hearings. These are presentations and proposals being advocated for by the leadership of town offices to not only boards in positions of financial management responsibility, but also to the taxpayers who pay them and pay for all the services that are provided. And so I'm going to start to my right, the community's left. Far end of the table is Peter Germain, Select Board Clerk. To my immediate right is James McCaffrey, Vice Chair, I apologize. Our town administrator is multitasking and working on the video feed, along with Karen Beret, who is our Director of Operations and also a videographer today. So seated at the table is Carol Johnson, our Finance Director, and I will say that I took some time to post this agenda to Millis Public Forum, where the town doesn't have a Facebook page yet, but it also has been on the town website for some time. So seated before us in the first of several hearings today is the Director of the Council on Aging, Patty Kao, and Bert Lannon from the board. And so thank you for indulging the technology startup. And so you have the floor to advocate for those services that you feel should kick in effective July 1st, 2020.
Patty Kao, Council on Aging. The Council on Aging provides information and referrals to residents 60 years plus and also disabled residents. We're also an intake site for the Fuel Assistance Program and also the Millis Fund. 2019 was, I want to look at the accomplishments of the Council on Aging for the year of 2019. We saw an increase in active seniors. What an active senior is a senior that walks through our door, whether it be for a service, whether it be for picking up bread or coming to a presentation. So we had 718 seniors come through our doors. We did notice decreases in all the other services that we provided. 2019 was difficult for us. We were short-staffed for the whole year, so that's pretty, I understand why we see the decreases there. Any questions on the accomplishments?
No, I would say, having attended some of the programs, they were very fun.
Thank you. If you look at the increase in the senior population in 10 years, it's increased 54%. That's a huge increase. Looking forward, the population projections for 2030 noted by U.S. Donahue Institute. They're projecting the population in 2030 to be about 3,000 seniors. So I think we really have to pay attention to that growth. To get into the finances, or unless anybody has any questions.
And I just want to go back to the issue on some fall off in usage. It's not because demand has reduced, that is what you told us, but because your ability to even pick up the phone and answer it has been reduced because of staff shortage.
Correct.
Not budgeted shortage.
Correct.
But just staff
shortage.
Turnover and trying to keep the.
Right.
Okay. So we don't believe there's really a fall off in demand. We just believe there's a fall off in our ability to meet the demand.
Correct.
Thank you.
But that, I think, will be, you'll see in 2020, we have a new outreach worker and also a new dispatcher. So we're going to see an increase in those because the positions have been filled.
Okay, thank you.
My budget is level funded. It's only showing increases, step increases. Do you want me to run through them, or is that?
So as I computed it, the gross increase to the budget overall is 4%. Does that sound accurate?
That sounds accurate to
Okay.
me. And I believe those are just step increases.
Yeah.
Just for clarity, not so much for you guys, but for the town, what is a
Yeah.
step increase? At a step increase, we have a pay system where longevity adds to your pay over a period of time, then it caps out.
Right.
I mean, the good news for a number of departments is we have some new young employees coming in, not that the other ones aren't good too, but the bad news is they start at step one. And so it's gonna continue to go up for a while as they move through the system.
Right. Except your director.
Well,
That-
that's
that will
correct.
know.
Well,
Editorial comment.
I was trying.
Um,
Thank you.
Our expense line is pretty straightforward for what I've been doing for the past 14 years. I think we're gonna have to look at that next year because our increases in postage has gone up dramatically. Just getting the newsletter out, just mailing it is $620 each instance. So that's a big expense that we've incurred, and I don't know, and typically I will use the municipal funds and our service incentive grant from Executive Office of Elder Affairs. So that's really starting to push us. It's getting over what I can budget for within those two line items.
Patty, how many newsletters do we send out every month? Over 1,000?
Over 1,400.
So that's one area that we want to look at, maybe somehow start emailing the newsletter out to our membership. So that's something we're gonna hopefully
Some
come up
of the
with.
younger seniors,
Yeah.
like, I just became a senior, so I know,
Yeah.
my abilities. People who are 60
Right,
are much more likely to have the ability to do
to
that.
receive it,
so-
open it,
Mhm.
print it out,
Yeah.
or read it online.
Any questions?
Well, I just would comment that that's also something that the website committee can be helpful with, because, and we're gonna discuss this on Monday, because one of the ideas is to have a listserv, which is what the school has, so people can opt in as an alternative to mailings. And the other thing I wrote down is maybe there's something that can be discussed about either coordinated mailings that are otherwise going out within the town, so, and also perhaps through the Economic Development Committee, some attention to advertising offsets. So if we ultimately have a small business or entrepreneurship type group, a business council, perhaps that's something that in targeting the largest segment of our population growth, perhaps they would want to offset some costs. So I think that we can be creative in looking at some of those things going down the road.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
that'd be great.
I noted that your gasoline and oil budget was significantly reduced, and I'm just wondering how you're gonna pull that off, and I just wanna know because my husband's gonna ask me. Because our expenditures on energy have not gone down, so I'm just wondering how you account for that.
Fortunately, we have a revolving account, a transportation revolving account,
Okay.
and we can use that to offset.
Okay.
Typically, we do have a fee-based system,
Mm-hmm.
and typically we bring in about 2,300 on average
Mm-hmm.
into that. So we have access to that.
Okay.
Plus, there was less driving this year too, right?
I'm sorry.
Less driving this year.
There has been less driving,
Yeah.
yes.
So, as I think everybody knows, there is active work with respect to a study that's in the process of going on to look at what are the facilities and how would a new facility or some adjustment to the current facility equip this department to provide an expanded portfolio of services. And I'm wondering if you have any anecdotal thoughts about that you would want to share with the community since you're on the floor.
Bert and I have been working with the Permanent Building Commission, and we had coming up with a few good ideas, and I think they're gonna come up with something.
Yeah, Jim helps out with that also. we're in the early stages of the feasibility study, but it's basically come down to looking at this building, possibly doing some renovations or a new facility on a piece of land that the town owns. Very beginning of that, we met with the architects for quite a long meeting the other day. We toured the Medfield Senior Center and got some really good input from them on the whole process of getting the town approval. But basically what we were looking to do is be open more and have better meeting rooms for the different types of activities, having a friendlier approach to the building. It's not the greatest right now, especially in bad weather. And those are some of the things we're looking at.
Right. And we do plan on having a meeting for the community so we can get their input. That was very important.
Right, I think more than one, a series of meetings. The architect firm that we're working with is, we chose them a number of applicants, and they seem to have a good history, a good work history, and they're going to be very helpful in moving this along.
And what do you see as the timeline for that?
Hey, Mary.
That's a good one.
It's not live streaming. Why is it not live streaming?
The permanent building committee is working through, hopefully be able to have something concrete, particularly that would require appropriation by the November town meeting. We've discussed May. It's just an unrealistic expectation. We're not saying that there's going to actually be a financial proposal by November, but we will certainly know from the recommendation by the consultant what direction we want to go in, or what direction we'd like to propose to the town. Also, I think it's important to understand that the process here is not building fits program, but program drives what the building's going to do. That's really what, it's a nice touch.
Yeah. Tiny bubbles.
Tiny
Don't
bubbles.
burst my bubbles there.
Burst your bubbles or tiny bubbles. Anyway, I mean, that's important. That's what's going on right now, and as Bert indicated, there was a 3 or 4 hour, 4 hour long,
Very long.
between the tour and the architect going through a whole series of agenda items and questions. It's going to be thorough, that's for sure. And I do think it's important for us. I think they're taking the right approach. What is it that you want to provide to seniors? And not based upon the, let's call it, somewhat reduced budget that we have today, but what do you think, how will we meet the needs of seniors? And once you figure that out, then you try to determine what kind of building you're going to need. It's not the reverse. So.
If I might also comment, we're also taking into account what I've heard from the seniors and ensuring that whatever the solution is we come up with doesn't increase their tax load appreciably, because that seems to be a major concern for many seniors who are on fixed incomes. So we're trying to take all of that into consideration.
And I think we'll get more input on that
Yes.
as we have the community meetings, and I'd rather, we discuss it up front.
Right.
So I would just encourage you to take a look at the website. The front of it will be changing somewhat, but there is a news section, so you can certainly provide updates, I think, with the Permanent Building Committee to share with the community as to what's going on, to encourage them to attend more meetings and things like that. You'll get a lot more buy-in and support, I think, if we are really proactive in reaching out. So. My personal comment on your budget is I just want to thank and applaud you, because I think it's among all that I read, and I went through the entire binder and made notes. I think it's one of the more conservative against one of the higher growth demands. So I just want to thank you for acknowledging the economic realities of the town right now, and congratulate you for that approach.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a quick question. I have here your budget requests of approximately $23,000 for a variety of items. This represents a 19.5% increase. I'm not saying there's any problem with it, but perhaps you would want to describe the 3 items that you have here and why you're requesting that increase in your budget.
Absolutely. What we're looking for, and what we have been looking for the past 12 years, is to be open till 4:30, Monday through Thursday. And the increases that I have requested would provide for the staffing to be open till 4:30. And we've been very creative with the staffing, to try to just pay attention to increases. What we're doing is making sure we always have 2 staff members on till 4:30. And what we have done is we're shifting department assistant 2 days a week till 4:30, and also the outreach position 2 days a week. So, we're not pushing for all 4 of our staff members to be there, but we're trying to be creative with the staffing
And how late are you open now, what days?
till 2 o'clock.
So the level service budget is what we saw earlier. This is
Right.
the budget request for this department to expand the senior service center hours, which, by the way, is the schedule in Medfield, for example.
Right.
So again, this is the one visit that we made as a group, and is also one of the things that all of the applicants for the architectural bid mentioned when they presented to the permanent building committee, that senior centers should be open 5 days a week, 8:30 to 4:30, and of course, we would close earlier here in Millis on Friday because the town hall closes.
Right.
That was universal in terms of what the recommendations were. These were not by the people we hired, but all the people we interviewed.
And it's a good point. I mean, are you gonna do an expansion of the senior center and close it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? So we really have to start here with the opening till 4:30 before we even think about expansion.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, and I think I shared with my colleagues, if I ever won the lottery, I would be looking at supporting this effort with a victory garden and a dog walking trail. So that's my plan, just so you know.
Well, fingers crossed for you winning.
There you go. Yeah. Me too. I don't have any more questions, but I don't know if anybody else does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck. And
Thank you
Bert,
for-
thank you for everything that you and everybody on the board do for this important group.
Thanks a lot.
It really matters. Next up is